And we are live. What's going on, Ebontis?
Oh, not much. Destiny is trying to redeem itself one piece at a time, and we've got a lot to discuss and a lot to look forward to. So,
Yeah, man. A lot going on this week specifically. So
yeah.
as you already know, we created this little Flashpoint thing to kind of, we still love it. We still love this game, and it's just really cool to see them at least try to attempt to address the concerns of the community, and also to let people know if it's actually safe to come back yet.
Yeah. Some people are going to wait much longer than others, but hey, at least they're communicating, and it's awesome to see. So,
Exactly, exactly. So let's get it.
well, first
Let's get
thing,
into it.
we had one patch come out on Tuesday. So, this is the January 30th patch they had discussed previously. We talked about, so we'll kind of hit the high points, a couple things that were new. So, Armor Masterworks did launch. You guys know about that. They stack.
Mhm,
I mean, I like that they're there. They're definitely something to grind for. So, I mean, we
mhm.
talked about our ups and downs with them. You got any thoughts on those? They're pretty much the same. I don't think they changed much.
Yeah, I actually haven't gotten one yet, so I'm a little upset. I really want one. Like I was really looking at, and the RNGesus has not been good to me right now. So, yeah, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. And then, obviously getting the complete set and rocking out, see what that damage reduction does.
Nice. Yeah. It's like I'm looking forward to it. And as we said, it's like, and they even mentioned, I've seen Christopher Barrett say, it's like, hey, we know this, damage reduction doesn't help all supers. So they're still looking at
Right.
ways to make it even better, which
Nice.
it says it right there. So, I mean, they're going to work on some of that stuff later on. But at this point, it does help the roaming supers, which, they could have used a little boost and more to come in the future.
Absolutely.
So, a little piece at a time, we'll take what we can get. We've got the raid
Uh,
patch notes.
hmm
So Benedict 99, he's going to be selling his rotating stock of weapons and armor, and I like the fact that they actually have to complete the raid each week to be able to buy this.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I was like, that does make it a little hard. You can't just like, I mean, yeah, you could save up tokens, but the only way you're saving up tokens is doing the raid anyway. So you
hmm
have to do it that week. So it gives people at least incentive to do a raid on a certain week, which I'm not still totally 100% sold on buying things, but they did say you can't get a masterwork from the vendor. So if you want the good stuff, you just got to play the raid more, which, again, more incentive for the raid is a good thing. So I like that.
Exactly. I'm all about it. I was remember last week I was a little concerned,
Yep.
but after seeing the implementation and seeing that you have to run the raid, I do like it.
Yeah. So it's nice. And that's kind of the thing it helps with. I mean, when we were Forever 29 on Destiny 1, you're sitting there like, I just need the helm. I've run this thing like on all three characters. And if you did that enough and finally you're like, all right, I just need the helm on my Titan and I can buy it this week, then you'd be able to. So, I mean, at least it'd give you a reason to be like, hey, if I'm not playing this week, but maybe in 2 weeks I, log in and see the helm is available to buy. I can run it
Mm,
if I don't get it, but hey, at least then I could go buy it. So it gives you a reason to still jump back in occasionally if you're working on full set. So
absolutely. Let's go. Let's get into it.
raid encounters drop at least one item, so I think it's going to be throwing a lot of gear at you anyway, which is good. And also, the
Which
raids
is
have a
good.
higher drop rate for Masterworks, so pretty much
Mm.
doubles. I looked at Mesa's little quick video that he had, and I think the loot just kind of threw up on him. He was doing it on Prestige, getting double drops. The Prestige was like quadruple drops. It was just bananas. So he
Oh
got a
yeah.
whole bunch of stuff. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Let's see. Then we've got the. I've seen a couple people get the ghost, but it's elusive right now, so definitely will be
hmm
hard to get. So a little bit of grinding for that one. And then the mods I've heard pretty positive things about. So I mean, even people like that are
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, the mods make the raid a different experience." And I like the way. I mean, even he phrased it that would have been make sense. It's
Mhm.
like if you're gonna get a bonus for melee killing something, you might find a smaller guy, melee it, and then have a more powerful rocket to go blast a mini major with or
Mhm.
something like that. So it changes the
Mhm.
way you play.
Absolutely.
And then you still have a chance at exotics and all that stuff. I don't know if this was intentional. I know for the Sandbox, Prometheus lens got boosted.
Oh, thank God. Oh,
Yeah,
thank God. That's what
it's
I'm
a
talking
lot. It's actually a lot better, and that was actually the first exotic I got for the week. So that was actually pretty
about.
funny.
Nice.
I had one to turn
Nice.
in, and it's like Prometheus lens. It's like, all right, you can go try this.
Yeah.
And
I, mhm.
oh, I just like the way it generates ammo instead of pulling from reserve, so you can literally
Yeah,
just
that's a
mow
huge
down
deal.
low guys over and
hmm
over. It's really nice.
Yep.
So
Give that consistent DPS on like, mobs and just keep going. Love it.
yeah, that little
hmm
circle, if you hit enough of them, is massive. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, man.
Lucky Pants just fixed an issue where there was some infinite ammo. Ophidian Aspect fixed another issue. Little stuff, but
Mhm.
I think some of this is honestly just if they know something they can like fix a little thing, or there's something they know and they can throw it in a patch, they're going to do it. I think that's just what some of this
Absolutely.
stuff's going to be.
Which is cool. Hmm.
General activities, I think most of it's pretty reasonable. I like this one right here, Lost Sectors, Reward Throttle. It's a step in the right direction. It's like literally what we said last week. Just, take it from 10 to 5 minutes. They're still working on a better fix, but at least this one, 5 minutes, you probably won't run into it nearly as frequently. That's for sure. Takes you about 5 minutes to do one-ish. So that one's pretty cool. Anything else on the, activities and UI stuff that you know of?
That's pretty much it. I mean, I was just happy that my Ophidians got their little fix going on. But as far as the activities and stuff, definitely like the the Mercury challenges thing, heroic adventures bit, and Lost Sector is always a little touchy, but definitely like I said, it's more like quality of life kind of things that I felt that they needed to take care of.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, they're just getting what they can in each patch. I mean, not everybody knows how a development cycle works for stuff, but you're going to have like priority things, get in what you can, whatever you can in that development cycle. I mean, if they're running like Agile and they're doing this stuff like once a month, you'll have like 3-week development cycle, get ready to plan it, make sure you have certification, launch it out. So, I mean, they're doing what they can with the time they have, and we'll cover more of that on the roadmap because they've got a lot they want to do. So,
yes, sir.
UI basics, nothing too crazy, just fixing little quality of life stuff.
Oh no, that Akora one. That Akora one. Oh, that had to get fixed. That was driving me nuts. Every time I come to town and she's got the green icon on top of her head, that was driving me nuts.
Yeah.
I was very happy about that one.
The other one I like is players in social spaces receive a notification when their postmaster is full, which is nice. So it's like, if as we were saying, like if you run through, and the fact that that's going to get fixed is really cool. This was the other one. So there's been an issue. They know it's a bug with it, with the API and stuff like that. So there's bugs. They're working on it. But the amount of experience for an illuminated engram dropping 40K, that's cool. Yeah, they're just letting us get it more frequently.
That's a big deal. They got their wrist slapped before. Remember?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like, I think they're just like, hey, if you guys want, cosmetic stuff, you guys are going to be able to get it easier and easier. So
exactly.
Most
Full
of that's pretty. Yep. Just lowering the price of things for these boons, which was nice. Pretty basic stuff. So, I mean, most of it's in there if you guys want to read the patch notes. But if you guys haven't seen the #2 comic, so Destiny Fall of Osiris is out there. It's a good one, and honestly, it kind of shows a different side of a specific character on the cover right in this region right here. So, he's not too keen on sharing that whole power design. If something's not in his way, it's like, I don't want to keep you around, so...
I have a nickname for him. Ebontis.
What is that?
Yeah, I call him the charlatan. Remember in D1 when you go to Brother Vance and he'd be like in the briefing, he'd be like, "What if I told you the speaker was a charlatan?" That's my favorite line from D1. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, read that comic. You gonna learn about your guy.
If I had to pick one line from D1, it would be, "Get your..." What is it? It's get your orb off my map, or whatever it is. It's when Cade's talking to her, when she's got the orb. It's like, "Get your orb off my map," whatever it is. Just his tone and delivery on that one, it's always just really good. But check out the comic, it's really cool. Kind of gives an idea, and you really actually get to see how Osiris kind of gets booted out of the tower for just having more, I don't want to say difference of opinion, but just the twist of words and things like that. It's like, no. So So that one's pretty cool. Check it out. I didn't see any like Easter eggs or anything in there this time. I haven't heard any like patches or any crazy like emblem like last one. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I didn't see anything just yet or hear anything.
So we come to this week, and it is a lot to discuss. So the patch went live on Tuesday, and they said the rewards have been improved. On Wednesday, the comic came out, and then right here on the screen is the big one. So
boom,
we've got a lot to discuss.
Let's get into it.
Can hear my dog. I'm sorry.
Oh, your dog's ready. Your dog is ready.
The door is shut, and there's probably somebody like out across the street. They're just. She's the guard dog. Huskies are not guard dogs, but apparently she will let you know if somebody's walking across the street or sneezing in some other house. So
that sounds like one of Saladin's wolves, right?
Yeah. So one of my huskies. They got their wolf stuff going on. They usually don't howl that much, but yeah, they occasionally get that sound going.
But when a roadmap is introduced,
yeah, it's a big deal. So she pays attention on that one. So we had 1.1.2 launch. That was Masterworks. That was the raid rewards and all that other stuff. So, Season 2 will include 2 more substantial patches on the end of February and the end of March. So, 1.1.3 will, as discussed previously, include nightfall scoring and high score tracking. So, I don't know when Crimson Days is actually going to launch. I mean, typically it's a Valentine's thing, but if this is this patch, it may be pushed back a little bit.
Yeah, maybe, maybe. I'm thinking maybe the 20th they might drop it. I'm thinking maybe I don't know. Well, the patch is the 27th, right?
Yeah, it's
So
like they may just have it in there, and it's like, hey, if honestly Crimson Days gets a little delayed, I
yeah,
mean that's
or
kind of one of those
maybe
things.
maybe they launch day and date on
Yeah, I was like, it
27th.
may be because they did it around Valentine's before, but if it's delayed but it works, I'm okay with it. Again, take your time,
Absolutely,
guys. Like, I
absolutely.
know there's a lot of work involved. I would love to be a fly on the wall in some of these, not just to leak information, just to see the process in action.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it'd be really interesting to see, like, the process, the way, the number of people involved. Because, I mean, even for, like, my wife's company, she's a product manager, and, like, just the
Hmm.
people like UX design and then
Hmm.
the development and all those pieces they go through. It's like, man, I just love to see that whole development process at somebody at the scale of Bungie. That would be amazing. So,
Absolutely,
I was
absolutely.
like, I don't. I swear, I don't want to tell anybody anything. I just want to see how you guys work. It'd be really
Yeah, you just
cool.
want to
So
see the
I do. I
process.
was like, I just
That's the
want to
thing.
see how it works.
Hmm.
So that'd be kind of cool. So
Hmm.
nightfall scoring and high score tracking, first piece.
Woo!
So
Let's go.
now this is also when they mentioned the high score is going to replace the timer,
Right.
which for me works well because solo videos are going to be something I have no issue with finishing it. But also, if I want to go through and show example of, hey, this is where every crap, what are they called this week? Little glowy boxes you shoot, and I'm just blanking on the name.
I'm blanking too. You
Yeah,
talking to
anomalies. There we go. So
anomalies? Yes,
yeah,
yes,
so
yes.
if I want to take my
Mhm,
time, go through Strike and be like, hey, here's this one, take these guys out. Here's a strategy for this room. Here's a couple
mhm.
places to hide. Like I can take my time and do that. Somebody like
Right.
Esoteric, hopefully, if they have the scoring options, because they say they're selectable, at least when they said them
Mhm,
before.
mhm.
He can just crank up everything and probably blow through it just as fast and get like the highest solo score possible. So
Mhm.
more people have more options, but hopefully he can still show his prowess of just kicking some butt and being awesome. So that dude's got
Absolutely.
skills beyond
Yeah,
me.
he's a
It's
beast.
like he's
Yes,
beast.
he's a
Yeah.
beast. Absolutely.
So that will be coming. I'll be curious to see how much they give the scoring, like the wait for either time, if that's even a factor, if there's like benefits for being faster. I mean, if it's just like if I see a number at the end, but I don't have like a bounty or anything or a reward for doing it quicker, it's not going to
Yeah,
have as much incentive, but it'll kind of give a variance to certain people still working on be like, hey, I just want the high score. So, and there's tracking
absolutely.
involved. So, if you wear your emblem, be like, hey, I got this score, you got proof.
Absolutely. That would be cool, man. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited about that one. I'm very excited. I'm a huge proponent of scoring, strike scoring, and it kind of validates the nightfall. It makes you want to do it. So at first, like I don't. At first, I was like, why isn't it just in heroic strikes as well? But I do like it because I feel right now I don't have that urge to have to do the nightfall. I've been literally skipping the nightfalls, and now this will definitely get me amped and excited to do them.
Yeah, gives you a little different reason, different way to play. Like if you're going, hey, I want more precision shots, and maybe there's different modifiers per week. It's like, hey, if you want to turn on grenades this week, you can more grenade
Hmm.
kills. So we'll see what they do, but I'm kind of curious. So
Hmm.
emblem and aura rework. You want to try and tackle that one first?
Yeah, I'm curious about that. I mean, when I hear aura, obviously, I think the nightfall stuff. The glowy joint over our head. We're gonna see, how that rocks. Yeah, I think for me personally, the emblems have to have a little bit more functionality. Just like stuff like Iron Banner and stuff like that. Just more tracking stuff. I know they've kind of teased it. We know that the raid, even the what is it, the prestige raid emblem does not even track raid completions as it currently stands.
Yeah.
So this is something that I feel just like small low quality of life stuff that they need to. Now I would like the aura to really be cool, like to really stand out, kind of like V1 when you finish that nightfall and you're like, okay. So we'll see. I'm very curious to see how they tackle that one.
Yeah, I was like, honestly, if it would be something, I'd like to see it be a little more. I know they say rework. So, for one, when you do the Prestige raid, you ought
Mhm.
to have something kind of permanent that you can throw on because the Prestige raid,
Yes.
I know there's some people who can hammer it out. I see Mesa Sean run it all the time because he's got his
Hmm.
crew and they've mastered it. But some
Hmm.
of the things you have to do the Prestige are not easy. And to get like a random group to knock it out, more people can
Hmm.
probably do it now, but it's not an easy task for anyone.
Hmm.
If you knock it out, like that thing should last longer. I mean, personally, it should just be something like if you've done it, keep it. But I would also like to see something like the Destiny 1 Trials emblems look. Like, have it something more obvious. Or if you're walking around, I want, like, giant glowy wings on my back.
Yeah, I
Something,
want
like,
very
make it
yes,
make it a
yes.
little more obvious as to what it is and where you might get it. So if you're walking around for a little while, you look like that much more of a badass, for example. So,
No doubt. That's what
so
I'm talking about. Like you gotta really shine when you see
yeah.
this aura. Like,
Like, you
who's
knock
that
out,
guardian?
yeah. And the
Mhm.
Prestige Nightfall could be a less obvious one. You do the Prestige raid, and maybe, like, be kind of crazy. Have some giant golden crown, since, it's all about the Leviathan and just the, pleasure gardens. All have something
Uh,
very ornate for this one, and say maybe if you do a different Prestige later on, you've got a different ore that you can, and maybe you can actually change them out. So might be kind of cool.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Fire team members on destination map, pretty straightforward, but quality of life should have been there from. I think Division had this from like day one, so way to get on board.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah,
It was
finally.
like, just, that's fine. PC
Mhm.
public text chat. This is honestly just something PC should have had. So
Yeah, for March.
yeah, it's just one of those general things. Be it most social spaces in any
Mhm,
PC game are gonna have that. People can type at the same time, whether you're driving around, running somewhere, you want to type real quick. It's just
mhm.
naturally should be there. So I'm glad to
Yeah.
see that.
Shout out to Thug and Duggan from IGN Fire Chat. He's like he's like so pissed off that wasn't there. So I know he'll be happy
Oh
about that
yeah,
one.
so no, that guy always cracks me up. I like him on Fire Team Jet though. He's a nice
Yeah, he's
addition.
good. He adds a nice perspective.
Even though
Definitely.
from the last one he said he's going to be taking a break for a while, so we won't see him for a little while. But
Yeah,
what are you going to
which
do?
I respect because he said
Yeah.
he's not playing, which I
Yep.
respect. Mhm.
So then we've got exotic repetition reduction. Oh my gosh! Like, I know we said this before, but like, my warlock has 5 of the same robe, and I know I don't have all
Mhm,
the exotics on him, whoever.
mhm,
And then my
mhm.
hunter, I had that story last time where it's like I was wearing the item, I got 2 more times within a couple of minutes. I'm like, it
It's
didn't feel as
ridiculous.
bad in Destiny 1, and I don't know if we just get exotics more frequently now, or
Yeah,
like what the feeling is, but I never felt like I had that much of, or even if I did, it didn't feel as bad, and I can't quite put my finger on why.
yeah. I still feel like I wouldn't mind if exotic drops got toned. I feel like I get exotics all the time. Like that's
Yeah,
just me.
like if you do
Forget
mod,
about the duplicates. I just
yeah,
feel like I get exotics all the time, and it's not the pool is not big enough for me to be getting all these exotics all the
no,
time. If it was like how Masterworks is now, I'll be fine. But I understand the repetition part. I definitely hear your pain on that.
yeah.
Just getting the
So,
same thing over and over.
but no, I'm with you. Like, I mean, well, see, and that's what I would honestly like is I know most people will have them, and then maybe something like a Taken King where you have like, here's a
Hmm.
slew of brand new ones, and please, like, at least I know they're tipping more towards new ones, which is good. But when they introduce
Right.
a slew of new ones, like a full new game's worth for something like that, as you're
Mhm.
saying, make them harder to get, because right now, I mean, I'm hopefully gonna have harder decisions to make, but yeah, I want them
Mhm.
harder to get. Like, it used to matter
Absolutely,
more. So,
absolutely. Let's go.
companion mod shader interactions. I think that's just the app, right? Basically, so companion vendor
Yes.
viewing. So
Yep. Yep.
just app modifications. So if you guys want to check out what a vendor has, you guys can check that stuff out on your app as opposed to checking out my weekly reset video. Either way, I'll still cover it for you guys, but always.
Mm-hmm. Nice, nice.
And then the last asterisk, and these anything with an asterisk next to it in yellow may go to a later release if they can't quite get them there. They're stretch goals, so there's something they're shooting
Mhm.
for, but they may or may not get. Nightfall Strike unique rewards.
Woo! Let's
I'm gonna
go.
let you jump into that one first because
Let's
I know
go.
you're pumped.
This is what I'm talking about. Asterisk or not. Dude, that is so important to me. Like D1 just doing what was it? The Fallen Saber
Yeah.
Strike? What
Yep.
like and I remember getting that, Warlock helmet that was just so unique. People were like, where did you get that from? You know what I mean?
Yep.
And at first, again, I wanted it to be in heroic strikes, but now that I look at it, the state of Destiny 2, they definitely need more incentive to do the Nightfall. And I'm starting to come around, Ebontis. I'm coming around on them putting it in the Nightfall now because I don't do the Nightfall. I'll be honest. Like
Yeah.
I do my call to arms. I'll do a lot of stuff. Like there's just not enough incentive for me to do it. And now you throw this in, and they got the metrics looking at, Nightfall completions, and they probably seeing that go down. So I'm coming around. This is what I need though. I just don't want an emblem.
No, I mean it better
No,
be something specific. Yeah, I'm with you. It
yeah,
better
man.
be like, I'm trying to think of a strike for example. So take the pain in the butt one on Nessus, which is my least favorite strike probably ever, by the way, because that boss fight is ridiculous. But I mean, for
Yes.
him, if it's some ridiculous, it's either say maybe it's his ridiculous gun, or maybe
Hmm.
it's a maybe for some reason you get an aura where you can decide if you want to be kind of cloaked.
Hmm.
So I mean, just make them unique, make them specific, and be like, okay, that
Yeah.
cloaked one has a ridiculous rate drop. It's not going to change that enemies can see you, but if you look like you're slightly cloaked, that would be kind of awesome. I mean, that'd be a ridiculous example,
Exactly.
but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Give
if
me
you were
something that
saying
looks
from
like the helmet, maybe. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. Just some way to be
Mhm.
like, hey, I did the Nightfall this week. I got lucky enough to get this drop. Looks pretty cool. And give it maybe like one little perk. Give it something extra
Yes.
too. Like have a
Yes.
because armor, as we were saying, armor needs a rework for it to matter more. It's like have that strike thing be like, hey, maybe it's got one more mod. Maybe it's got one
Mhm.
more perk on it. Something like that. So it's even more of an incentive. And I think this also will help at least a little bit for at least the player base that's still around with
Mhm.
guided games. If you give more
Mhm.
incentive for people to run it, then hopefully they'll be, helping more. Or it's like if me and my buddy want to go play on PC and we need a third, we'll be like, let's search guided games, see if we can pick one up. So
Mhm.
I think that'll be good as well. So that will
Absolutely.
pretty much wrap 1.1.3. So it says strikes and social is the overall theme of that, which seems to make sense.
I agree.
Somewhere in there, Crimson Days is supposedly coming, but we haven't heard much on that, so we'll know more when you guys do.
Absolutely.
All right, 1.1.4.
Let's go.
March 27th. Calm down.
Woo!
Called it.
This is my segment.
So,
This is the one I waited for.
hey, March 27th, Sandbox and Crucible, Cognito. You can run this one down, and then I'll chime in.
Oh
So,
man.
you're excited? You take it over.
Let's go. Let's go. Sandbox and Crucible, baby. And this was probably the best thing. I work night, so this is the best thing I woke up to. When I saw the thwob and I seen Sandbox and Crucible, because up until this point, Ebontis, we haven't heard anything about the Sandbox. Just light stuff. Oh, we're gonna address it, at a later time, but nothing specific. So just seeing this stuff, oh man, this to me again. I'm a firm believer that when Destiny is at its peak, you've got the content drops, but at the end of the day, PvP is what keeps this thing alive during the droughts.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? When you've
absolutely.
got a good Crucible Sandbox, when you've got a good Trials of Osiris, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, when I seen these, I was very excited. So let's get into each one. Start from the top.
All right. So, weapon ability and sandbox changes, and we've actually got a decent discussion on that down below. So, do you want to like save that for when they break that down from
Yes.
Hamrick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So we will come back to that. Put a pin in it. It's a big pin, but we will get back to it. So, heroic strike modifiers. Now, as we've said a couple times, this should have been there when they launched with
Hmm.
Curse of Osiris, the Dawning, or whatever it was. They should have been there. So I'm glad they're bringing it back. I mean, Nightfalls already have them. Hopefully, they bring back some more modifiers as well. Mix it up, So I'm totally down with that. Now, there's no strike
Hmm.
scoring in there. They don't mention anything like that. It'd be nice to
Right.
see that, even if it's just kind of for fun, for
Yeah.
practice.
For competitive, they need that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So even if it's for practice for the Nightball, for a different,
Hmm.
playlist, whatever it is, go in there, jump in, see which one it is, be like, all right, let's see if we can do this. Now,
Hmm.
Crucible. We got Iron Banner 6v6.
Whoa. Huge.
So,
Huge. Huge. And I have a personal story about this too.
go take it away. Go for it.
With Irk McGurk. Okay. Shout out to Gaming Addict in the chat. Shout out to Kaibatu. Um, E3 2017. D2 announced, it's on the floor. And I see my man, Irk McGurk. And I rolled up on him. And at that time, we knew nothing about anything, just about the Crucible. All we knew was 4v4. They were kind of like getting in. And then basically, we started talking to him. And I said, look, man, is there any chances? I mean, even for Iron Banner, you know what I'm saying? On sixes. And he's like, you know what? I have nothing to comment at this time. Hit me with the PR speak.
Of course.
I have nothing to comment at this time. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it was definitely something I was holding out hope. And this is so key because the problem with Destiny 2, big time, is this disconnect. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, shout out to Gaming Addict. He's like, get me in here. I got you, bro. He wasn't because he was with me when I got you. I'm like, don't worry, I got you because he wants to talk about the story. Um, yeah, like the thing about Destiny 2 right now is that the raid is the only six-player activity now.
Right.
Back in D1, you didn't have to break up your squad. You know what I mean? Like you did, like if we went from the raid, we went from Iron Banner, like this splitting off people. It's sad. Like I have clanmates now, and it's like, well, we're gonna run out of Banner, but we only got four, so we gotta get rid of you.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
yeah, good about
I don't know. I was just gonna say, but it's like that should be like either be it patrols, like if you
oh
have like raids, patrols, crucible. If you have an option for six, make an option that you can. I mean, if you only have four, it's fine for a smaller playlist. But if you have an
yeah,
activity that's six and be like, hey, you guys want to go tear it up in Nessus for a little while, knock out our flashpoint, all six of
mhm,
you can go do it. I mean, you have enough
mhm,
people follow on public events now that they're not really difficult anyway. Maybe
mhm,
crank up the difficulty or something if you allow six more in there and make actual social spaces a bit of a
mhm.
fight where I can't just like walk around and not fire and not die.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, it's like I mean, you see videos people like I can walk through the story, pretty much skip most things, shoot the important guy, and move on. Like,
Mhm,
make the social spaces have a different difficulty. Division figured that out at a point, and I mean,
mhm,
they got to a point where like, hey, the overall world now that you've completed the story, you
mhm.
can crank it up a level.
Right.
I mean, have that as an
Absolutely.
option if you have six in there. But no, I'd love to see 6v6, and sixes for Iron Banner. It'd be a nice way to set it apart as we
Yes. Give that uniqueness, right?
Yep. I mean, some way to make Iron Banner everything besides just green Crucible. Like, I mean, that's literally how it feels because I look at like,
Yeah.
okay, we got another hand cannon, and like the stats on it are decent.
Hmm, hmm.
The shotguns, it's a slug shotgun, so it's one of those. But it's still just that like tan and green gold emblem. It's just a different color for Crucible. Like, if Iron
Hmm.
Banner is your 6v6 that comes back, be like, all right, there we go.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Like that to me is you. And then it really just it makes it a prestige kind of event,
yeah,
right? Now I'm curious to see how they handle. Will they have a playlist that also has sixes? Like how's that gonna work? I mean, listen. I love that it's coming from Iron Man. Don't get me wrong,
but you want
but
it around
like,
all the time.
yeah, is it just gonna go away now completely when Iron Man it goes? It's that special. So I'm very curious to see how they implement that as well.
So and that may lead into the next point is weekly Crucible playlist, including Mayhem. They
Mm.
listened.
Woo!
Too many people liked it, and you were going to take it away and be like, hey, rotating Crucible playlist just like you did before. You can have your, quick plays and your competitive, but have that one mode that rotates and have Mayhem in there like every other week for all I care. But
Yeah,
absolutely. Maybe that's just like,
absolutely.
maybe it's, normally it's fours, but maybe the rotating playlist might be a six or something else. So,
And the vibe I'm getting from this Ebontis is that, see, that was part of the things that made me love D1 as a Crucible player. Like, you jumped in, remember? You did your daily Crucible, you had your weekly Crucible,
yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then on the weekend, you had your trials. And you had your True Meaning of War bounty from Shax that gave you Nightfall level rewards,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, they need to
So
bring that
again,
back some way too.
yeah, so like as a Crucible guy, and don't get me wrong, I'm not like one of the best Crucible players, but I love D1 Sandbox Crucible. Like I had so many activities to do that I didn't even have to touch PvE
Yep.
for a while. And again, these are the things that are the lifeblood. These are the things that keep Destiny going. You know what I mean? During the dry spells, a good
Yeah.
sandbox and stuff like this. Mhm.
Some way, somehow, I mean, something more than either milestones or daily challenges or some way. It's like, so the way they've got the emblems right now for Iron Banner, it's like you've got to do 5 daily challenges to hit that emblem. Have some way, something that you can track and be like, hey, you can get your Nightfall tier engram if, within a week you finish, 5 or 6 daily challenges. Like, you're in there
Mhm.
every week, and that's a way for you to get your Nightfall tier rewards. And multiple other things. It might have like 4 or 5 requirements, but
Mhm.
something that you can grind for in PvP that will still,
Absolutely.
give you the alternative if, say, the Nightfall may still be a struggle or finding people or whatever it is gives
Absolutely.
those
Because
Crucible people
that
something
you
to
just
play.
nailed it. You just nailed it. That was like a lot of times the Crucible served as that medium that when your squad's not on or you don't have a full fire team, it was still activities you can do as a solo player.
Yep.
As a solo player now, yeah, I can do a couple public events. Those are fun. Don't get me wrong. But like D2 Crucible, not so much.
Yep. And I think with that also goes they've got to figure out something with the matchmaking that
Oh,
allows like Overwatch. It's like if you have 6 people in a match, there's a team of 4 and a team of 2. You're paired up with the same thing. Solos
mhm.
should fight solos, teams fight teams, and vice versa. Like
Yes.
that has that I will wait longer for that type of match. Like I don't think
Hmm.
anybody would probably say, "Will you wait 3 or 4 more minutes for a match that's like proper?" Yeah, because then
Hmm.
you're gonna enjoy each one more and have the downtime. Maybe go check something else, whatever it is. But that
Hmm.
matchmaking for teams has got to get fixed. That's an issue.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So Crucible ammo and gameplay tuning. Thoughts?
Mm,
It's pretty vague.
it's vague. I'm gonna tackle it. I think the vibe I'm getting is okay. I don't think my gut doesn't say like primary ammo because obviously we don't never run out of it. So I'm gonna go with like maybe like heavy weapon ammo, maybe as possible. I'm gonna go because really ammo, I don't look at it as a big issue in D2 Crucible. That's just me.
In
You know,
PvE, yes. In PvP, no.
right. In PvP, exactly, you nailed it. In PvP, I don't see, any issue. So gameplay tuning, I just look at this as basic sandbox stuff. Maybe looking at like for example, like how many you get of fusion shots. Maybe increase the amount of ammo. With certain specific weapon types.
Yep.
That's what I'm kind of seeing. That's what I'm feeling when I see this.
So
We'll see.
like number of bullets in a hand cannon, and then also like
Yes.
heavy ammo, either be it drops or number or frequency and
Hmm.
all that stuff. And I think some of that's listed below too. So
Right.
we will get
Absolutely.
to that. Nightfall
Mhm.
challenge cards. This is new.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I don't either. I mean, like
I don't
speculation,
know.
tinfoil hats can come out. Like, what do you think? Any thoughts?
Nightfall challenge cards. All right, let's break it down. So we complete the Nightfall, we get Nightfall rewards.
Yep.
Um, challenge. Well, see, when I hear a challenge, I was thinking timer, but timer's gone now at
Right.
that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what can we be challenging?
Well, it's
this
like,
is
and then
this is weird.
challenge. No, but it was also the word card. Like, we don't have a card
Mm-hmm,
anywhere in Destiny 2. We had Grimoire
mm-hmm,
cards in D1 all over the place,
mm-hmm.
but in D2
Yeah.
they don't exist. So these are. I don't know if it's. That's a weird phrasing to me. I mean, a
Mm-hmm,
challenge like some of them, the Nightfall. It's like okay, so if you're going through one of the new Mercury strikes, to say the Nightfall, the one with the rotating Hydra, basically at the top. I forget which one
mm-hmm,
that is.
mm-hmm.
There's one of the challenges when you have that as a Nightfall is the fact that you have to kill the. I'm blanking on their damn names. Minotaurs. Kill the Minotaurs within 90 seconds or something like that. If
Mm-hmm.
that's one of those things that's now like trackable, either to go through and do all of those things, maybe you get like at Nightfall. Other
Mm-hmm.
reward, I don't know. It's like those are the only challenges in the Nightfall, but a challenge card, I am so confused. So yeah, they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
have to clarify that one a little later. But yeah, you can
Mm-hmm.
make all the stuff up you want. If you guys have any ideas out there in chat or in comments, leave that stuff below. I'm real curious what anybody thinks that is.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Kai Batsu. He actually mentioned with the Crucible back up on the Crucible thing, he was mentioning that they also got to do something about jumping into a losing match, 3 times in
Oh
a row with
yeah.
a man down and stuff like that. But as far as this Nightfall card, challenge cards, what is that? Is that Game and Attic in the building? Uh-oh. Is he in the building? His mic's levels is good? Well, I see him in here.
Can
Oh,
I can hear barely.
I heard you
okay,
for a
hold
second.
up. All
Hey,
right, does
there we
that
go.
sound?
Yep.
Yeah, you sound better.
Do I sound fine?
No, you sound good.
Yeah,
You
you
sound
sound good.
good.
Yeah, you're good.
Were you
Uh,
did
I,
you have to get in about that Iron Banner 6v6? Is that what with Lil Jin?
no, not really. I was just kind of wanted to. I kind of wanted to test out these 600s that Playtronics sent me on my phone. So,
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for testing. We got
I
some
mean,
roadmaps.
does it sound fine though?
Doesn't sound as good as normal. You know what I'm saying? Like, as
Well,
you
I mean,
normally sound.
that's because the mic I normally talk on YouTube, it's
Mhm.
made for podcasts.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. No, but you sound
They
solid.
sound
Like
all
not,
right, but yeah, I was like, I think the other one's noticeably better.
yeah, the other one's better. The other one's better. Alrighty,
Oh,
Bunches, what you
so
got
so
next?
okay, I got that. I sound like you guys do on the normal occasion. Okay,
There
got
you
you.
go.
Yeah.
No
All right.
doubt.
So, and this leads into the next one, which you were saying is Crucible quitter penalties. So, an incentive
Mm,
not to have games that are like 2 or 3 people down or starting over, and yeah. So,
yeah, it's
some
ridiculous.
penalty for that or quitting, timeout. Just incentive, just play through your match. I mean, if you're losing, just take that time to work on a challenge or whatever it may be. So, hopefully they'll work on some incentive for that. Like if you quit a match, you got a cooldown, or if you do it twice. Like I don't know. It's like
Yeah. I
some
just I
reason for
just
that.
hate being on the losing end of, someone drops the match, and then like you just forced to play it a man down. I've seen it in trials. I've seen it too many times. It's
Yep.
demoralizing. I've been on a squad where the whole team's quit on, and it's like just me versus four. And
That's
I'm like,
nearly. I've done that too. Actually, I know what you're talking about. It's just like,
really?
so that's when you usually start dancing and see if they'll actually just mess with you. Sometimes they'll do that, and then somebody's like, "All right, fire a rocket at your feet," which is fine. But it's like, on that point, I'll just like dance because it sucks for them too, because they only have one person to kill, and it takes them longer to finish the match. That would normally have a reasonable amount of time. So,
Mm.
yeah, needs fixed on both sides.
Oh, wait
And
a minute. Kai got a point in the chat. He says, wait, he said the challenge card could be the book from D1.
So
Like
some
the
type of record book coming back.
possible,
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 yeah, some variation
possible.
of that, but maybe you have
Mhm,
like a little Nightfall book, and there's certain things you have to do for your strikes, and
mhm.
you can work on completing. I mean, I'd love to see record books come back in any way, shape, fashion, or form. Whether it's Destiny 2 2.0, and that's a record book that you're going to finish up before we roll into that one like they did before. Maybe
Mhm,
this is a piece of that, but we'll see.
mhm.
And then we got repeat crucible map and strike protection. So just repeating maps, that'll be nice to just
Yeah.
keep a little more variety. Always good. And then the one that I seem to want to explode on previously, exotic weapon and armor sandbox changes. So this is my sandbox thing that I
Mm,
want.
yes. Yes. Huge, huge. I think I've been screaming that from D1. I don't feel that Bungie does that enough. I honestly feel that they have exotics. They pump out exotics a lot, but they never go back and rework. Not that they never do it, but it's seldom that they go back and buff and rework ineffective exotics.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
you
absolutely. You've
know,
got a player base of, started at millions. It's not there now, but I mean, still, you've got a lot bigger player base to feel out how things feel, which ones are used, and be like, okay, so these are the common ones that are used. How can we take this one and bump it up? And I want a base level of all exotics to be above what the best one is now. I want
mm,
them to, because all of them now, as many people have said, you can run a full loadout of legendaries and you don't feel like you're
facts,
missing anything, especially with
facts.
Masterworks now. So, I mean,
Mm,
Masterwork Better Devils, like, you find me a better gun than that out of an exotic, and then we'll talk, but I don't think there is one. So,
yeah, I agree.
I
I agree.
mean, so all of that stuff,
Right
but
now, you guys are talking like pure, like speculation, and like this is a foreign language to me right now because I have no clue what you guys are talking about.
Look at the development roadmap, man.
yeah.
March 27th, man. There's a lot of stuff going down, bro.
Yep.
It's a lot of stuff for the sandbox.
Look, I,
Mhm,
I understand that they're making a lot of changes in the Destiny community right now, but
mhm,
I can't really justify being really hyped for something that
mhm,
I saw that map and
mhm.
like a lot of it they're adding is just shit that's been in Destiny before.
Oh, absolutely. But my thing is, you rather them not do anything?
Well, it's not that I can't justify being really excited for something that I played in Destiny 1. Like,
No,
I
I
bought
understand your
Destiny
point.
2 for the experience. It's not them bringing up a roadmap to fix the
Mhm,
game that they made changes for. Now they're like, oh, let me.
mhm,
It's like that meme where
mhm,
they're like, that meme where it's like
mhm.
the people who I can't. It's a really bad meme. I really shouldn't bring it up, but it's a meme that it's like Bungie is that player, right? And then they
Mhm, mhm.
drop all the people that they go to for that one chick, and it turns out that chick's a bad chick. They're like, oh, I dropped all these people. It's like Bungie that
Mhm.
person. Bungie
Okay.
dropped all the hardcore base for the casual base, and now
Right.
they don't know what to do, and they've had to go back and refix everything the way that the hardcore wanted it. And it's
Right.
like, look, like it's like I was telling Walker yesterday. It's like, look, I can't. He was saying Destiny was trash. You know how that typically
Yeah.
goes. But I
Mhm.
was like, look, I can't sit here and say Destiny 2 is trash.
Right.
They went towards a direction that I'm not okay with, and
Which a
I'm
lot
not
of people
saying I'm not.
wasn't okay with.
Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
saying that I got to see some. I got to see some raid stuff. Like people
Right.
like that
That's what.
PvP. I'm the
Mhm.
raid dude.
I understand that.
You
And
know
and
they.
here's the thing. You right now as the raid guy, these might not be for you. I'll be completely honest. Like these might not be for you. But as the PvP guy, which is a lot of people, like the PvP community is actually, to be honest with you, Addict, is more neglected than you guys. So for them, this is huge for the PvP guys, because those are the guys that were playing trials every week, Crucible every day. They had nothing to look forward to. Now, as far as your stuff, I would say probably like that season 3 when we get into that is probably going to be when it's a little bit more safe for you. But right now, I understand your point. There's nothing for you as a raid guy outside of prestige rewards. I feel prestige
That's
rewards are
not even
great, and the prestige mods are
perceived.
great. Mhm,
Like they could put that in. Like I saw they're doing some more kind of rewards when it comes
mhm,
to the raid. It's like,
mhm,
look, you're literally putting rewards that was in Destiny 1.
mhm.
So like I'm not even really excited about that. It's like, and
I
I
am.
don't even like the way I don't even like the way that you're going with Destiny 1's raids anyway. So it's like, okay, so you're gonna make me play, okay raids to trash raids and get equipment that I had in Destiny 1. It's like get, equipment built around in Destiny 1. It's like you're fixing the rewards when that's not my issue.
So what is your issue? What do you need to see?
It's the mechanics they're putting in raids right now. I feel like they're too casual. I'm not enjoying them.
Right. So your main thing is raid layer. You are not a fan of raid layer. You like the Leviathan, the first one, but raid layer you're not a fan of.
Me and you argued a few times over the Leviathan. I was like, okay, it's cool for an opening. I did enjoy playing it, but I wasn't exactly impressed with how it wasn't hard. How many after we got really into the found out the loops and everything, it's like it was like a well-oiled machine. It was like I wasn't liking it. It's like the boss. I felt like the boss was the best part of the whole raid. In the dog.
We can save this discussion for another time 'cause we got a lot of points to cover. But I understand your point. I disagree. I think that the listen, I'm not going to say Leviathan was the best raid ever, but it was a solid raid. I do agree with you on raid layers. They feel a little casualized. They definitely feel not as hardcore mechanics that what a raid for what people who play raids are used to. But we got some points to get into. So I can't interrupt my man Ebontis right now.
Yeah.
We got the show to finish.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover, so
we got a lot to cover. But I feel you, Addict. And you know what? You represent a lot of the community that is still like, hey, this is not enough. And I respect that. So what our job with Flashpoint is to let you know when it's safe to dip your foot back in.
I mean, look, as long as they show me they come out there, because right now it's looking like, to be completely honest with you, I already conned me. I already bought the second expansion.
You already got the second one, yeah?
I got to play that. And I'm not going to be like one of those people that's like, oh, I bought it. I'm not going to even try it. No, I'm going to see if Bungie got their shit together. If they do, I'll keep playing. But at the moment, Bungie don't got their shit together. What am I playing? Monster Hunter. What should I be playing?
I feel you, Addict. I feel you, bro. Lord Ebontis, let's get back into the development from an Addict spoken.
All right, so and we were just saying, but yeah, exotics I want them more powerful, and I think we've discussed that before. I want exotics to be exotic, as they should live up to their name. So hopefully that is a substantial thing.
Yo, you're breaking up, bro.
Yeah, you're
gonna have to change your mic. Your mic is terrible.
No, it's not that my mic is. I was rotating. I was getting my badge off of work.
No, but like your voice is cutting in and out pretty bad.
Yeah, your voice is cutting in and out. You're gonna have to drop, bro. It's really bad. And we got some stuff to finish up. Get it, Ebontis.
All right. So that will pretty much wrap up season 2. So I mean that'll be March 27th to whenever season 3 starts.
I'll be back.
Then we're gonna go into season 3, which they're saying right now May. Which honestly, if it was May or June, it's fine. Just take the time you need to make this stuff right. This is also going to be time for. They said it should be day and date with the second expansion. I saw something on Twitter. Christopher Barrett clarified that season 3 should also be the new season, the new expansion. I think this stuff is going to be coming together with that. So that's nice to see.
Absolutely.
So first we've got Eater of Worlds Prestige mode. I kind of wonder if I know they're working on prestige and difficulty numbers because the Leviathan right now it's only 300, 330. So they're trying to figure the way they want to work some of that stuff out, and maybe they'll just have more clarification later. So they're waiting for that. But it just seems a long time to get a prestige mode. So
yeah, and he actually Christopher Barrett made a comment. Someone tweeted at him as to say like, why are they addressing the prestige mode at the time of season 3?
yeah.
And they did say that they're gonna. I thought that this up the Thwob they were gonna actually get into that why, but they didn't seem to touch it. But there's supposed to be some reason as to why they're gonna drop the prestige mode so late.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't see that one yet. But I mean, it would make sense because I think right now they're trying to figure out, because when Curse of Osiris came out, they locked people out of content. Obviously, they didn't want that to happen, and they've got to figure out whether they're just going to keep adding a new difficulty level each time so you don't lock people out of content. Like, I mean, just take people and bump them up to, say, 330 when the new expansion comes out and say it's 360 or 350 or whatever. And then, your prestige mode is still going to be the elite stuff. Say you can play the normal raid, the raid layer, whatever it is, but then the prestige, you for sure have to have the expansion. Who knows? But,
yeah, I
mean, it does seem like it's a long time to get there. So, but I mean, if they're worried about, like, you can play a raid right now and the prestige just isn't there, then, hey, I mean, honestly, it may take time for them. This just may not be that big of a priority with everything else they've got, I can understand why, you know, a difficulty on the smaller raid may not be the biggest thing. So,
Right. Absolutely.
seasonal Crucible rankings. So, your
Mhm.
Crucible man right here. So they discussed before we had two different types. You had
Mhm.
Glory, and then you had Valor. Valor was the
Valor.
one which was just the more you play, the higher the number is going to get. So if you live in Crucible, you're going to probably have a really high number.
Mhm.
Glory was the one that is an actual rank. Now, this is the
Right.
start of stepping into ranks, but if you win, it goes up. If you lose, it goes down. So,
Mhm.
what do you think?
I love this. I love this. And to me, this is Bungie getting back to their roots of Halo. And I remember I thought that their ranking system was one of the coolest things, you know, I mean, as far as like, you know, you win and you would go up, and also if you lose, you'd go down. So it kind of give you that persistent ranking, that feel of what you're doing. And I love stuff like that. Again, Crucible, man. Give us Die Hard something to strive for, to look forward to. And it's also, you know, the competitive community, they've been screaming for stuff like this. And I really hope that this is the differentiator between quick play and hardcore, right? Competitive.
Yeah.
Like this needs to be like when you do competitive, maybe that's when this stuff is kind of, you know, I forgot the one that actually goes up and goes down. I don't know if it's Valor. I forget which one
Glory.
is which.
That's Glory.
Glory, yeah. Like maybe Glory is specific to competitive, you know, Valor or whatever is universal. But I love stuff like this. This is what the backbone Crucible community needs. Love it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's one of those where, say, if you equip the Glory emblem, you're going to be in much more of a skill based matchmaking setup, and it may take you longer
Yes.
to get into a match. And then, say, if you equip the Valor one, or if you just don't have that one on, you're going to be in
Hmm.
connection based, and that's fine. I know it's one more
Hmm.
check, and I'm not saying that's an easy thing to program. Sounds simple
Right.
when I say it, but it's not an easy thing to program. But if that's a way to say, hey, we're going straight up skill on this one, and if my Glory number is 1274 and I'm hitting people like within 10 or 20 right around me, then at least I feel like, especially if I've played enough, that I'm going to get a fair match. And it takes me a little longer to get there. That's fine. So
Absolutely.
I'm good with that. Vault space increase. Now,
Woo!
now
That's
this could
Gary.
just be the
Looking
fifth.
at you, baby.
Yeah, Dustin, yeah, a little bit. This is, I think, my guess. This is probably the band aid of 50. I don't know if this is going to be the overall fix. I know they're working on it. They said they're working on something bigger. If they can get it in by then, sweet. There's a lot of pieces to a vault space increase, shader fixes and mods, and there's a lot of other pieces. The one thing I haven't seen, oh, well, I guess we're getting down to it because that's at the bottom of this one, so I'll save that. Foot in my mouth, take that one out. But yeah. Skipped over private matches, but honestly, for me, that's mostly just for tournament play. Like, there's not that much there to me. So it's nice to play like a custom one, but I want to see I want us to be able to make playlists of crazy matches, as we said before, like snipers and sidearms and mayhem to the max or whatever. So until private matches turn into that, I don't know if I've really ever played one. So we'll see. Multi-emote wheel, again, something we've been like, you give us like how countless number of emotes, and I can only equip one at a time.
Stupid. So stupid. Yeah.
At least two. I mean,
Glad it's coming.
Yeah. Exotic Masterworks. This one is very important based on the previous one. You got to make exotics worthwhile before I'm going to give up a masterwork like Better Devils to go use an exotic something else. Now, if you give me an exotic mid a multi-tool and I can start popping heads off with that thing, yeah, then we're talking, but, we'll see. But, yeah, exotics have to get better for masterworks to matter. So, I mean, you could put masterworks on them, all of the, current exotics, and I still don't think it would change what people would use. So
I agree. They've got. I'm very curious to see how they tackle that, because that's a big deal. Right now, like you said, I'm gonna say they're phased out, but there's not that urgency, that need to have to equip them based on Masterworks and everything.
I was like, and then even more now with Masterwork Armor, somebody gets a set and they like running Arc Strider or Striker. You're not gonna give, you're giving up a damage reduction for that super. So it's like
facts.
Yeah, so I mean, those exotics really, really have got to get bumped. I mean, they're so afraid of the balance, and it's like, and I don't say it's an easy thing to balance. Like, I mean, Blizzard is one of the best people at balancing games, but it's not an easy task to do. So I mean, I understand the balance, but go through exotics, make them all crazy, and I mean, you can go back and tweak them later because they can release patches fairly quick if they want to do a hot fix. But I mean, make some stuff crazy. It's like, I want exotics to really be like, hey, if you're using that gun while I'm using this one, you might beat me sometimes, I might beat you, or whatever. But yeah, they should. I want some rock paper scissors stuff going on where it really makes a difference.
Absolutely.
Seasonal vendor progression. So
like that.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, I think it's just like during each season, the more it gives you just some incentive to keep playing, and all of these things hopefully are reasons to come back. I mean, would seasonal vendor progression get me in the game right now? Probably not that much.
Probably
But
not.
if it's part of something cool later on, just a little more incentive to play a little longer for specific things, then cool. I mean, just a
When
nice.
when I see that, I think D1 um remember when you were part of a faction and you got that faction to like level 25 and then
Yeah.
they gave you
Yep.
I don't know, maybe something in that rewards, like based on your consistency with a specific vendor, maybe it's tied to a level, maybe it's tied to a reward, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well, I think Devrim K is going to be the busiest one because everybody does everything on EDZ if they don't have to do it anywhere else. So
Yeah, yep,
I think
facts.
he's gonna be king. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that'd be really cool. So say it's like you get, you're tracking for Devrim up to like level 20 or 25, and you can be like, hey, I'm gonna go get an exotic. Maybe even if it's just a cosmetic, it's just a little more of like, if I'm grinding EDZ all the time, I got something cool out of it. So I'd kind of like to see that. Faction rally improvements. I mean, I'm not sure exactly by what means.
I low key love faction rally. Just the concept of it.
Yeah.
So, anything, anything that you can do to really promote that thing. I mean, I forgot which podcast I was listening to, and maybe it's Fire Team Chat, and maybe something to the effect like you go on patrols and you're actually seeing people with the faction emblem on them or something to that effect, where it's like it's more of a competitive thing out in a social space, or
Yeah.
even in the Crucible they can kind of have like a just something to really get you behind that pledge, right? That they want you to pledge and make that commitment. So just create that,
Yeah.
that
I mean,
rivalry.
it was like I could see. I know they have a limited number of weapons, but I was like, you can do a faction rally every week for all I care. Like that's just more
Yeah.
things to do. Like it doesn't have to be twice a season. I mean, it feels like some of the stuff is too far. Keep that.
I
Keep it
agree.
like keep it going all the time. Maybe you pledge
Yeah.
once a season. Then you're actually you got to commit and like say if you don't get it, then you can't buy that other team's weapon. Again, I think they're always afraid of like locking people out of stuff. Be like, hey, you picked the wrong faction, you don't get the gun this month. Well, it gives you more incentive to go back and whoop some butt on, especially if it's like Crucible and you're saying if I'm running a new monarchy because I want to look crazy ornate and somebody else out there's got dead orbit stuff, I'm going to be hunting the dead orbit guy on the other team down a hell of a lot more than I am the new monarchy guy. Like it might give me incentive to go track somebody else. So yeah, I mean they could mix it up a lot. So I just hope it's not like faction rally improvements. It's just easier to get the faction rally stuff. It's like, no, I want systems need overhauled. Like so many things need to matter more. I think that's the biggest way to say it.
I agree.
And then the last one. This is what I put my foot in my mouth earlier for. Mod system improvements.
Yeah, man. I like to hear this. I like to hear this. I want to see more of this.
I was like, the raid mods are nice. Like, I think there's a couple that are kind of lackluster, but overall, I mean, a mod that you can put on your cloak that gives you 25% bonus damage when, you get a Celestial Nighthawk just like tearing it up on Callus now, that's when stuff starts to matter. And take different, I mean, you've got a legendary mod. Okay. Make it to where you can get like a masterwork mod. Take that, take a normal one that you get from whatever you're doing and crank it up a notch. Like you can get masterwork mods or exotic mods, or I want more lots, variation, things that matter. I mean, that's my poorly spoken jargon right there. But no, I mean, it's just, I was like, well, I mean, you can probably say it better if you want to right now, but I know I just want a lot more of everything.
Yeah, I just want more diversity in those mods, just more things, man. More, D1 kind of stuff. I remember, remember when you had specific perks and stuff for Iron Banner, sprint speed on the, was increased when you on a respawn, or just little things like that. You know what I mean? Like just
like
keep
that,
yeah, just keep on with it, man. Keep on, because at the end of the day, it promotes individuality. You know what I mean? And you feel like your character is different. Your guns are different. Your armor is different. You don't want to have. That's the problem with D2, because with the fixed roles,
it's a cookie
everything is
cutter.
kind of samey.
Everybody's the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to see be like, hey, you got a range mod for auto rifles. Be like, okay, so
there we go.
I mean,
exactly
something like that for stability mod for scout rifles. I mean, I can pick the high points on most of them, like impact on a hand cannon, have that thing hit you like a truck. I mean, do it to where like stats can change too. If you get a mod for, I mean, master armor is different, but yeah, mods need some help. And then I guess for weapons, be like, hey, this
Sorry, does that sound better?
much better.
Much better. Yep.
Yeah,
I
continue about that.
apologize for interrupting the podcast with that mic. I don't think it's my mic. I think it was my phone connection.
Okay. Continue about this. We're finishing up the roadmap.
Yeah. So I mean, mod systems just, I mean, and this is what they've said. They are really trying to make them impact more, make your player feel more powerful, get back to the point of regarding feeling, you know, to that godly status occasionally. And as you said, individuality is also a huge piece. Like, we don't want everybody to be cookie cutters in the random roles while everybody wants to grind for that thing. Make it a way to where, you know, if everybody gets the same gun, you put different mods in and you can play a different way than I can. So, yeah, I'm totally down for that. So, that's all those big pieces at the end. Nightfall Strike rewards, exotic sandbox changes, and mod systems. Those are all things that could slip into later releases, but those are big fixes. So we'll be hopeful and see what happens.
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
So next people, I love how I said sand people. I'm like, they walk in single file to hide their numbers. So,
let's go.
All right. So Josh Hamrick talks about the sandbox. So
let's go.
He said,
March 27th is what I'm hype about, baby. Let's go.
They want to lend some context. He said they're working on lots of updates over Destiny 2. There's going to be many of these discussions over the next couple of months as we get closer and closer to a big sandbox update. And there's probably going to be hopefully more updates, but at least they can say what they're working on. And different people will have different focuses. Like he may be the overall, somebody may focus on Crucible, and there could be differences in, you know, Crucible, Raid, PvE, Sandbox, all that stuff. So they're testing a series of changes right now, and they're basically calling it their Go Fast update. Basically, they're adding more speed, more mobility, ability to recharge time. All of that stuff is going to be faster. So pace of the overall game should improve.
Huge, especially the supers part. I like that he mentioned increasing the amount of supers. That is one of my most angry things I hate about the Crucible. It's like it takes so long to get my super. Yep. You finally get it. Everybody has it when you have it. You use it once and it's over. Yeah. That's it. Like
it seems like you when you're playing multiplayer, you only like get it a max of twice.
Maybe you maybe don't even get it twice.
I was like, I rarely get it twice.
I rarely get it twice.
Like
I guess I'm just better at PvP than you two.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh my God, here we go.
And modest as well. We appreciate it.
Oh yes, humble Lord Addict here. Continue.
So things that they want to hit. So I mean, they want supers faster, so you can demolish your enemies, frequency, all that stuff. So first point is all 3 glides plus catapult and strafe lift have been retuned and buffed to make them more unique and faster. So you're actually changing the way your characters move, which is cool. Like, they feel fairly samey right now, but also just, it's like have a jump be noticeably higher, have a glide be farther and faster. I mean, again, just like everything else, make the decision between those type of jumps, make a benefit to each of them.
I got one point though. If they're going to do this with the jumps, they have to increase in air accuracy, and that's because it seems like that's been nerfed to like it makes no sense for me to run Dawnblade. What was it, Attunement of the Sky? The one where you wear the wing. Like that's the only there's really no incentive for me to play that class. Like you should reward people who want to be agile, mobile, move in the air, do all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like so they've got to hit that whole. I'm assuming they will, but they've got to hit that if they're gonna do that.
I mean, say in the air, it's like you have, you know, either increased accuracy, but probably everybody should. If you jump in the air, it's like we're Guardians. We're still meant to be pretty epic. So, I mean, don't make it terrible. But, hey, if you're floating in the air, also give you a shield. Make you harder to kill if they'll for whatever. I mean, so it was like, so the mobility, this is one that I was like, stats don't matter. This may. So the mobility stat has its range expanded and completely retuned as well. In short, everyone gets faster and the high end is higher. That last little bit, the high end is higher. So this is a point where mobility may actually be a factor now. So
that's huge. Because if you're gonna put in masterwork armor and you're gonna let us re-roll the stats, and all people are gonna re-roll them to is resilience and recovery, mobility was useless. Right. You know, now it can't be just strafe speed. It's gotta be I move faster than you because my mobility is higher than you. Yep. That's huge. Huge.
Run faster, strafe faster. Honestly, it'd be cool if something like mobility, and this would be interesting, say there were like little animations were quicker, because they covered that below. Just everything, you were just a little snappier on everything, even if it's just a little bit. So let's see, the player's ground speed cap has been increased, so the cap is higher, allowing for faster total movement speed regardless of how you may get there, whether it's be it super, the mobility stat, I guess there might be mods or something like that. So all of those things have a chance to get you higher. So maybe you have a mod instead of your mobility. So that may be a way to balance some of that stuff out.
Mhm.
Then we've got Arc Strider, Sentinel, and Striker roaming supers. All move faster and at the same speed as one another while in their supers. So that's kind of cool. And then Arc Strider, they go into even more. So they say Arc Strider as a whole is performing well in PvP, but mostly due to its neutral game perks. We made the following changes in an effort to get the super to be more competitive. Faster animations, both on attack and dodge, and increased range of attacks, which I'm fine with that. Like, if you can do that flying dodge you said that was hard to hit, and then your attack covers more ground, then that makes you a lot more viable, especially in tight spaces. You're like, oh, crap. Like, you see one coming at you, like, after all that changes, then hopefully you're... You know, if your dodge is like back and forth and you're a little bit more zippy, it's like you're going to be harder to kill. So, yeah, I feel like Hunters, I feel like definitely are squishy, but that's definitely nice help.
Yeah.
Supers recharge faster for everyone.
Say it again.
Supers
Say it
recharge
again.
faster for everyone.
Yes.
Oh,
That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. Crucible. Fun. Supers. Like, why are we so scared to let us get our supers more than one? Oh, this is what I'm talking about, man. Let's go. This is all for me.
Oh, yeah. No, you're good. Absolutely. They buff several weapon types, including, but not limited to, hand cannons, pulse rifles, sniper rifles, and shotguns. A few specific perks. And they said they want to make shotguns, sniper rifles, and fusions feel more prevalent because they're not that common. Everybody uses rocket launchers. Unfortunately, I've seen nothing about grenade launchers, and they're like, maybe we should put back machine guns.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
I haven't seen
anybody using them grenade launchers.
No. So they said they've also been working side by side with PvP to increase the pace of PvP, which is good. Hopefully that's time to kill as well, so the team shooting kind of goes away. And the frequency of power play. So players respawn faster for all quick play modes. Power ammo respawn timers for quick play have been reduced by 30%. So power ammo coming up more frequently, which... See, this is where I was wondering about the times. I don't want it just to be a rocket fest. I know 30% is not that much, but you're taking a minute and bringing it down to like 40 seconds-ish, somewhere in there. So if you're, depending on how you're roaming with your team, if you have somebody on either side that's just hanging back and you're kind of working down a hallway and somebody goes back and keeps picking up a rocket, that's my worry.
That's true. I am concerned about this. I am concerned they're going a little heavy-handed with the power ammo stuff, and I get it. But continue. There's another one underneath that I want to get to.
Power ammo respawn timers in survival is 40%, which already if you aren't the clash in survival or basically any of the competitive modes, if you're not at that main clash and you run off for power ammo and it's coming up that much quicker, then and then same with countdown is 25% because you have to hold a point. But for all of those, it's like you're getting power ammo into the mix a lot sooner, which I'm okay with, but also. I know they're saying supers recharge faster. I want all abilities in there a little bit more. They have a tough line to walk because nobody wants to get back to sticky grenades. Well, nobody kills anybody with sticky grenades anymore.
Right.
But in turn, it's like if your supers are faster but your abilities are slower, then everybody's just going to run around with rockets. And I guess snipers would be somewhat of a counter to that. But yeah, shotguns still may have some work. Ammo.
Gotcha.
This is a weird one. Ammo counts have been adjusted in relation to these timers and in relation to the weapon type.
I like that.
So you get if you get them faster, you still most of the time you get one. Sometimes you'll get two rockets, but even if you get one rocket and you get them a lot faster, you're still going to have them frequently. Is it going to be?
That's true. Yeah, that's true too.
But if snipers, do you get like 10 shots?
Snipers need the love. Fusions need the love.
Yeah. So is it more shots? Do you tweak them so they're a little more? Fusions are a little more accurate, but you've got to lead them. Snipers, like, what if you picked up a sniper and it was a one-shot body? Those would be used all the time, I bet.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways they can do that, but I just kind of worry. Enemy players drop their power ammo on death is interesting.
Boom. That's the one I have my eye on because remember when Mayhem, they was implementing that during Mayhem, I believe.
Yeah.
During the Dawning.
Yep.
I like that because in my opinion, if you kill someone with heavy ammo, that's skill.
Yep.
You should be rewarded with the power ammo. See, I don't really care about necessarily the respawn timers being faster. To me, this is the change I like. You know what I'm saying? Like, it promotes skill play, and then at the same time, you're rewarding someone. I like that. For some reason, I really do like that. I remember that it was happening during Mayhem, and I was like, oh. What's this? It's a puzzle purple on the ground because I killed that guy.
Yep.
So we'll
no,
see.
I'm down
And
with that. And then it says the drop brick is available to anyone, so your team or theirs. So say like somebody picks up power ammo and then they walk out and get their head picked off by a sniper, maybe you can pick it up and be more useful with it. So
yeah,
the only problem with that is then you're going to see power ammo even more and more. So if your buddy picks it up and drops it, then of course somebody else is going to have it. So then you run the risk of, you know, if they walk out and get their head picked off, somebody at some point is going to walk out with a rocket and shoot it at you. Even if you die, you've got a rocket coming at your sniping shot, and then you're in trouble. So power ammo seems like they are going to put it in there a lot more. So I'll be curious how that balances out. Then we've got a little bit more discussion. They said the shoulder charge changes that went into a couple months ago have been reverted. So they said the movement utility was perceived as a more valuable than its damage utility. And unfortunately, shoulder charge is one of those things. When I get it to land and it hits and it doesn't kill them, I usually die. So it's like, I mean, do you, or is it just me? Like,
no, I see it.
Yeah.
I see it a lot.
I mean, whether if I just have it on, I'm running around and I hit someone with it, the odds are my animation of getting to them, hitting them, and then the time for me to get back up, they're just sitting there unloading an auto rifle the whole time for me to get there, and I'm dead. So I mean,
that's generally how I kill you Titans.
Yeah, no, but I mean, that's also one of those. It's like, okay, so throwing knife has range, and you can just throw it at me, and you can get a crit. And most of my health's down. It's a couple hits. If I get in there, I mean, if I have to get in, and that's why I was like, shoulder charge is one of those things that from D1, yeah, it sucked that it was a one-shot kill, but if you play your corners right, it wasn't as much of an issue. So I mean, some of the, it's like I understand they're using it as like a dodge, but I don't know. Shoulder charge still just seems like it's too weak.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So they said the goal of the untargeted distance nerf was to discourage using it as a movement mode by making it only effective with enemies. In retrospect, we think this change was a mistake, and we've heard you all say the same. Esoteric put one thing up on Twitter saying, yes, literally just to this specific thing. Because for somebody like him, if he's going to go for a speed run, this is a way a Titan can speed run. Now, is it fair to all classes? No, but, I mean, it's there, so I guess it's one of those things.
As long as the other classes get some love in their abilities, I need to see some more warlock stuff here.
So if you're going to have, I mean, everybody's speed is going up, but if the shoulder charge can still cover that distance and it doesn't, now say it's like, okay, instead of changing the distance, what if they nerfed it and said, hey, if you use it and there's not an enemy there, the cooldown is a lot quicker.
The cooldown, yeah,
that's the cooldown would be a lot quicker, but there would be a little cooldown, so you can't just spam it. Like that would
that's what I want. I just don't want it to get too crazy. Gotta have a cooldown. I agree.
So, I mean, I think that'd be a way to give them back the range if you want to use it occasionally to make a crazy jump or something like that, but it's not a way to just spam it and cover. Like, if I'm running to another flag, I'm just, charge. Like, there's got to be some give and take there.
I agree.
Now, there's one line that I saw, like, I forget who was on Twitter pointed this out. So, what they say is that we believe there are a number of gameplay atoms like this that perform or are used differently than we expected, but are thoroughly enjoyed nonetheless. In the future, we want to embrace the state of gameplay atoms like that and balance around it, not against it. And that is a really nice statement to see that they want to hopefully go to the pot instead of nerfing, maybe buffing and taking little things that if they intended it to be done one way, but everybody plays with it a different way. The community found a way to use it. Okay, work with the way the community plays with it, and then take, as you said, the hunters and the warlocks and find a way to give them something else. And also, by the way, please give the hunters more than a dodge.
Yes, please. Something else will help the team.
Yeah, seriously.
But now, I want to touch on that point. You made a good point because it's like, and I like this statement they made because at the end of the day, Bungie's balance and Sandbox history stuff has always been like nerf into the ground, and then sometimes subconsciously it'll kill the entire class of weapon, grenade, or whatever it is because of that one thing. And it's like you said, it's like, yeah, you can recognize it, but you can also say, okay, how about we make this other thing better in in competition to it, as opposed to just nerfing something and an entire class into the ground. Like
in the past,
in
the past, it wasn't really like you play what you want. You played with the hot shit, nothing else.
Yeah, and it's just like they gotta. People are having fun. Okay, cool. If it's obviously I don't want it to get obnoxious like Thorn level.
Prometheus lens broken, obviously. But.
Yeah, we ain't talking broken. Thorn D1 and Prometheus lens was the only thing in D2 that was really broken out of hand. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like again, now it's in a good place. You don't have to be so heavy-handed all the time. So I like that statement. This is new from them.
Let's see. And they said, on one final note that will be important to all the snipers out there. So, all of you snipers, listen up. Many of you have rightfully complained that snipers flinch is too hard when taking hits, especially as they're now power weapons and you have to make that decision to use them. So they dug into this and they found somewhere along towards shipping 2, again, there's some bug that is preventing us from being able to successfully tune the values the way they would like. So basically, some way, somehow, there's a bug that snipers twitch too much. I don't know if it's their way to say it's a bug and they tuned it a little too high and people don't agree with it. But whatever it is, they're working on getting it better. They have to tune apparently snipers individually to fix this. It said that it's going to take a while to stomp it out, and as they implement more in the game, there's probably even more to fix. But apparently, that whole thing of flinch on snipers is not meant to be as much. And again, this is the whole testing, seeing what people think, and letting some of your public test the game, because just more people who play games in different ways are going to find things that your testers, however big your pool is, are not going to feel out the whole game. So like a public test realm is still something that potentially needs considered for stuff like this. And
I want to jump into specifically because I can talk now. Because I actually talk now. But the thing is like snipers right now, and I am not a sniper. That's the funny thing. They're just in a bad place. Like you don't see them at all. And I get the flinch part. I understand that they need, if you get the drop on a sniper and you shoot him, he shouldn't be quick scoping you so fast and stuff like that. But they definitely have to do something with the architect. And I'm happy that they're addressing as to why it's taking so long. Old school Bungie, you just don't hear about it. You're like, yo, what's up? When you going to buff snipers? When you going to buff this? And you don't hear it. Now they're saying, hey, this is the reason why. You know what I'm saying? Again, transparency, talk to your community. This is what we've been talking about. Absolutely. And at least now I know what the issue is and why they're struggling to fix it.
I do feel like they're getting a lot better at that transparency than they used to be. I feel like, they've always been really good at listening to the community and reacting. Sometimes it's not as quick as people would like, but for the most part, I feel like they're not getting worse at that. They're getting better.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. Absolutely.
I mean, it's weird, but when they started talking about this developer update, some switch, some person, some discussion was said that, hey, you guys, we've got some issues. It's like the community's not happy. Somebody talked to somebody, and it's like somebody loosened the noose a little bit to be
I could tell you what's going on.
No, but
I can tell you. I saw them Twitch numbers. I saw Sea of Thieves number 1. I saw PUBG. All the Fortnite.
To be completely honest with you, the original Destiny really didn't have the competition that Destiny 2 has. Like, Destiny had games that came out and had a good run, but people went back to Destiny. Like this game, you guys got games like PUBG, Fortnite, now Sea of Thieves. Like these games aren't like, these games are the most like play all the time addictive games that you could possibly have.
Here's the thing. I see what you're saying. But remember, we can't underestimate, like, even though what happened in Division, eventually, but Division was a force when it first came. Division was to D1. Division was a true threat to them. Obviously, they're always going to have the Call of Duties to battle, and then I think, remember, Overwatch came towards the end of the cycle too, which was a good competition. But you're making a good point, Attic. Like I don't want to negate. You are making a good point. Like it's PUBG now, it's Fortnite now. There's a lot of stuff that so the community right now, the way I feel is like they don't need to have patience now because like, okay, you messing up, I'm gonna go over here and play this.
And you got to keep in mind that the majority of these kind of gamers that would be playing Destiny 2, PUBG and Fortnite would be like their bread and butter. Like
especially on the PvP world, like that's exactly what they want to go do, and that's like the hot thing right now. So
absolutely.
You guys think that there's going to be a battle royale mode for
for Destiny?
Honestly, I could picture that being like somewhat insane, but also kind of awesome. I mean, like it would be crazy to see, or even like what did they do? So they did battle royale. Did they do a 50v50? Can you imagine that in Crucible with like, and just complete utter chaos? Like you got groups of 10 running this way, you got half a map going the other direction, some giant flash, people shoot. Like, I mean, honestly, like I don't think the servers could ever handle it because there's so much calculation stuff going on. But if they could, I would love to see the chaos that would ensue just for sheer Like,
Oh
I'd
yeah,
love to see that on like a closed network where they could handle it. Maybe. Oh man, that'd be so much fun.
I'm all about that for Patrol. I think it'll be chaotic as hell, but I'm all about that for like some. Again, remember we were talking about the faction rally stuff. Like if you support your faction, you got in there and it's Dead Orbit, New Monarchy, and whatever, and they going in, they going at it or something like that. But right now, let's let them focus on sixes.
Oh, I know. No, it's like I'm good. I just like just for theory. I was like, it could be bananas, but yeah.
Am I the only one that doesn't want them to go back to sixes? Like, I'm okay with a 6v6 on like Iron Banner and stuff like that.
That's
with
exactly what
control,
they
but
said.
I don't want them going 6v6 on everything again.
Literally, it's what you just said. It's so far from what the note said. It's just Iron Banner right now. There's nothing else indicating sixes and anything else. So it looks like it's literally what you just said.
And I mean, I would be okay if they wanted to do like other playlists with that, like a control playlist is 6v6. It just made because control is more of a 6v6 anyway. Because it's kind of weird with 4v4. Like I'll be okay with that, and to be honest with you, I used to be really, really into Trials of Osiris, and I'm just not like that with this new one at all. Like I want the 3v3 back for Trials.
I literally tweeted at Chris Barrett, and I just said, not only do I want it exactly how it was at D1, I want the crazy psycho lore out of there of the 9. Look, you brought Osiris back for a DLC. Give him back control. I love the Egyptian themes. I love and you know what I like too is like how what's cool about Iron Banner right now, Attic, is like Lord Saladin's voice talking to you during it, and you know what I'm saying? Like I love that stuff. Like I wish that was. We got D1 Osiris, Charles Osiris, with Osiris's voice, the voice actor.
Yeah.
I'm in. And put us back on the lighthouse. Make it relevant. You know what I mean? That's just me. I'm not a fan, to be honest. I'm not a fan of this 9. I'm not a fan of that chick with the one sock looking crazy. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of her. Like I'm gonna go on my rant. It's a Cognito. I am not a fan of Trials of the 9 at all. Judgment. No, get out of here. I don't want you here. Please bring back Osiris. That is what we liked. We liked Egyptian armor, Amun-Ra stuff, Pharaoh-looking stuff. That's the hotness. My rant is complete.
There you go. So, I mean, that's like the Sandbox has got a lot of changes. They are communicating a lot more. It's like we understand why snipers are an issue, like the distance nerf. It's like they wanted to do it, and they see how it was played. So, I mean, just the idea that they're seeing something, they're going to the fact that they're reversing changes they wanted to do, like these are all positive steps in the communication, as you guys are all saying, is more than we've probably ever had. So I'm loving that. Okay, so last piece is just kind of patch issues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
As we said, the issue of the XP rank from 160 to 120k. They said there was an issue with the API and different amounts. They're working on getting that fixed. So getting it closer, but it's apparently a moving target, but they're getting there. They mentioned the shader previews. There's an issue with that right now. Lost sector throttling.
Yeah, I've experienced that shader preview problem. I've experienced it. I thought something. I'm glad they talked about it because I was like, what is going on? I was trying to preview something that was like 3 rows down, and it kept bringing me back to the top. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an issue.
Yep, lost sector throttling. They said, from 10 minutes to 5 minutes, that's going to go into effect, and they're doing a hot fix for February for that. And then they're also going to be making a change to reduce, a couple other things. And then finally, they said they're working on balancing Crucible experience to kind of be more in line with everything else, give it a little bump, which is nice. So, I mean, that pretty well wraps up everything we've got for the week. There's no crazy description down below that's, like, leading to anything else. They just said Expansion 2 will be coming. It will have its own raid layer, so we know that's going to be coming in some way. And honestly, the raid layer, no, it's not the biggest thing, and it's not a full raid. When we had, and if you compare it to Destiny 1, yes, we got Crota. I mean, so many people thought Crota was broken. It could be honestly blown through really quickly because you had the sprint between lamps, which was hectic but kind of cool. You had the bridge, but you really didn't. How many boss fights did you have? 2? I mean, on Crota, basically. So, I mean, if you get 2 raid layers within, the first year of Destiny, you're going to end up with about the same raid content. But, I mean, they're all within a theme. I've heard the raid layer fight is really, really cool. So, I mean...
The Argos joint. But this is where I'm with Addict. And it's like, I have to. I know he came in and derailed us with his raid anger. But I feel him. And the thing is that it just feels like raid mini. It's like raid light. 1 or 2 slow spaces. And it just is such a disconnect, and I understand the concept of why they did it, and I think ultimately it just comes down to they can't put out, raids fast enough. That's just my theory.
No,
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
I agree with that.
it's a hard. Listen, a raid. I'm not gonna act like I'm a programmer. A raid is definitely not an easy thing to construct from a development standpoint. So it's just one of those things. I guess it's like they probably look at it like, well, do we just make them skip it, or you know what I'm saying? Like, do we do these little value meal raids?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like if it's what we can get, it's still within the theme. I mean, or it's like, okay, so if you didn't get any raid content at all for Curse of Osiris, but you got a brand new raid for Expansion 2, would you feel that that was better, worthwhile? I mean, but then you have to remember somebody's doing something for whatever comes either in September or what likely will be pushed, I think, at this point. Would you rather have, if the speed of making a raid, because I mean, to make it, design it, then you've got the art, and then the fact that they've got to test the thing to make sure it's not broken, because if they release a full raid that's just broken beyond all belief like Crota was, then you have the other end of that. So
my main issue is what I'm gonna let Adam jump into.
I just gotta really, do you sure you want to go down this road, Ebontis? Like,
yeah, this is him. This is his heart. Before you jump in, all I'm gonna say is what I agree with Addict is that the major mistake with this last one, Eater of Worlds, it had nothing to do with the Curse of Osiris DLC.
Right. It basically was just Vex was the only piece.
Yeah, it literally had.
Not only did it have nothing to do with it, they literally fought the Cabal half the raid, and then you just get to the end. It's like, oh, there's a Vex Mind Lord here. I don't know what that's about.
Yep.
I agree with it.
I understand that. I mean, honestly, you have the Infinite Force, which is underused. Mercury is tiny, so I mean, but yeah, the disconnect. The disconnect in the whole raid from the story to Callus. There's one adventure that tells you about it, and I understand kind of where they went with that. But no, I understand what you're saying. All of a sudden, we have Vex within the Leviathan. Wait, what happened? Yeah, I understand that completely.
And I think that's the part that annoys me the most. Is it would be different if they had nothing to work with, but they had that force they could have made a raid with, and it's like they could have made a really nice like time skipping raid. Like when we first thought that the raid was going to be remember that cutscene that you go into the different dimension and you see how Earth first attacked that one planet and made a Vex attack that one planet and made it into a machine, and you saw the very beginning of it. Like, why couldn't we get something like that, visuals like that, something like that? Like, I can't give them a pass saying they didn't have enough time, because at the end of the day, it's like, look, like, you gave us a certain expectation the way you did Destiny 1.
Yeah, facts.
And then you changed it completely up. You didn't even mention anything like that when we bought this.
Yeah, that's true.
And you can't tell me that they didn't know that they're going to do the raid layers like they did. Like, the raid layer is like 3 rooms. Like, how does it mean that I took a fire team? We did it one time. Lord Cognito, how many times did we die? Maybe 4 times.
Maybe. And on top of that, the light level didn't mean anything.
I wasn't even high. I wasn't even ranked
that's a problem.
Standard Destiny.
Right. That's a problem. And that to me is the biggest part of the sandbox and the gameplay updates that I'm still not seeing. Power mattering. Yep. There used to be a time when you had to be, 300 light or whatever that light level was to even step foot. And it legitly made a difference. You were getting wiped up, on the floor if you jumped in a raid that way. Again, people would complain as far as the Crucible aspect, like, oh, it didn't, the differences are not negligible. It means something to the hardcore, get that advantage. It's not like they were pub stomping people, but it was kind of a reward to say, hey, you've been grinding your gear and your light levels up, and you went into trials and you went into Iron Banner, making sure you equip the highest light level stuff. I missed that aspect of Destiny. Now it's just like I just throw on whatever. It doesn't matter if I'm 300 and that guy's 335. There's no statistical advantage.
We got people in our clan that's never even beat the raid, and they got 4 raid gear.
Oh well, we're not gonna get it. We don't get into that. Yeah. That's that. As far as I'm concerned, we could push Hawthorne off the tower. I mean, don't get me wrong.
No, I like Hawthorne. I like her concept, but I think she needs to be tweaked.
Yeah, she's on her Oprah vibe with raid gear and trials gear. Like, that's a problem. We went into that last week. But at the end of the day, power has to matter, and that's out of everything else, I'm loving this Ebontis. Everything, I'm loving what they're doing. But I noticed they've been skirting and not talking about that. And I'm gonna have to tweet. I'm gonna have to tweet my man, CJ. I mean, CG Barrett. I'm gonna have to hit him up. Just like, yo, what was the? I just want to know what's the rationale behind light level not mattering. Who made that decision? I just want to know the thought process. Help me understand.
I mean, it's like, well, if they wanted to try and get the casual people into the game more, so they have more options to get up to that high level. But when you do that, you take away from the reason to do that hard difficulty. If it's like, if your light level stops at 300 and the raid gets you to 320 and then the prestige gets you to 330, I mean, maybe the numbers need to be more. Maybe it's 300 for the start. Maybe the raid's 350 and the prestige is 400. So those numbers, and they can calculate to where that stuff means something. But yeah, I don't want to be able to do public events and be the same as somebody who does a raid. And that's how I actually, that's how I got to 335 first before I did the raid. I was just,
public events.
Yeah, I was like, public events getting me the same stuff as the raid is wrong.
Yeah. Would you say, Attic?
Everyone got to 335 that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the saddest part, Attic, is when we started the raid layer and you're like, hey, jump in. And I'm like, yo, I'm not, whatever, 335.
I literally said that don't matter.
You like, it does not matter. And I'm like, there's no way.
I was 303.
Yeah, literally, Ebontis, we jumped in. I'm 303. Nothing's killing us. Like, don't get me
higher than I was. You was like 310 or something like that.
Yeah, maybe 310 I was at that point.
I literally wasn't even max level to base Destiny, and I had no issues. I don't think I died one time until the very end of the whole raid.
Yeah, and that to me is an issue.
So, yeah,
this is the hardest content.
Yeah, I was like, that's one thing. I mean, preach anybody like Dado. It's like, there's a reason some of the hardest things in something like World of Warcraft, or you have a progression-paced game already. Don't take away the value of your end-game progression when that's what people want. I mean, how many memes are out there about end-game? It's like, and it's the John Travolta thing where he's like looking around. It's like end-game, end-game, and it's like, and then you have the end-game, whatever you do have for an end-game, not matter for light level, for progression, for difficulty, for, I mean, all of those things. Then, yeah, no, and then no, absolutely. So I don't like the idea of, the monsters being, they're always 33 when we're level 32. That was always kind of frustrating. I mean, make it something we can progress to, but make it to where, every drop counts. So if you do the raid and you start and we're like, okay, we did the first part of the raid, we couldn't quite get through the second, but I did get one piece, so I'm a little higher. Next week I'll get the first one, I'll get something else, and then we can progress more.
I was stubborn. I was like, I'm doing it all this week.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like World of Warcraft, people didn't beat some raids for months. Like, they're afraid of making things. I mean, they have the raid races and they're done in a day. Like, that stuff should take, you should be working that stuff on, like, couple days. Like, maybe if you get progression, you might get up to 320 out of 350, but that's as much as you can get this week. You can't be at the last boss down. Next week, you might get enough, and then you might have the damage. Like, or some crazy group pulls it. I mean, make that make that stuff harder. Like, no offense, but difficulty's got to get up there.
Absolutely.
I do want to say, great thing you guys are doing here. I gave my 2 cents. I'm about to eat. I just got home from work. Just awesome talking to you guys. And I'll come back to Destiny. I have no issue with anything they're doing. I see a step in the right direction. But you can ask Cognito. It's always about the raids with me. If I don't, I will try. The second raid. And we'll see how that goes. But at the end of the day, I even told Cognito, there's nothing wrong with the raid that they have now. The new raid. It's just. I thought it was a little too short. It had made no sense to the main storyline, and I feel like that should be one of the priorities.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. And like I said, that's the whole reason why we do a Flashpoint, more of a hardcore kind of a deep dive, but at the same time, letting each part of the community know when it's safe to come back. And for right now, not just yet for you. Trust me, when that update comes and they start breaking down.
No, I'm going to start playing it when they do the high score things again, because I did like that.
Oh yeah, that's coming. That's coming. Yeah,
definitely.
All right, but I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, bro. Talk to you later.
Good to have you in.
Oh, and I definitely apologize for the quality of my mic.
It's all good.
Like I tested it before I first came in, and it sounded fine. But I guess as my phone service, people sending me messages on Facebook and stuff, it kept getting worse and worse.
All good, bro. Good. I'll talk with you.
All right, see you.
Peace. To you, Lord Ebontis, wrap this thing up. I know we've been going.
I was like, I haven't even looked at the time because I know you're using my screen, so I don't even know what we're at this point. But, I mean, overall, yeah, it's definitely been a minute. Like, a lot of the stuff we're seeing is good. They're working on systems. They're working on quality of life. They're working on the feel of the game. And some of the things that we're talking about for power mattering and things like that is stuff we're probably going to have to wait for Destiny 2 2.0. Whatever, your $40 purchase is, whatever your Taken King thing is going to be, is probably a time that they could consider that things, because they can't rebuild Destiny 2 right now. Whether that's what we want, that's not their priority. They want to make a game that at least is out there working.
Mm-hmm. So. No, I agree, and it just comes down to being practical and realistic with development schedules. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not a coder. I know what I want, but at the same time, we do have to understand that these things take time. And I know. Listen, as long as they're listening, and as long as we're getting this transparency that I'm seeing now, these last 2 updates has probably been the most transparent about bugs and thought process and why. That's the main thing the community wants to know. Why hasn't this happened yet? What's going on here? What's the holdup? And then they're telling us, okay, this is why. This is what we're experiencing. Snipers are doing this. Shaders are doing that. Yada yada yada. All I need from my why is Ebontis is why power. Why has power not mattered?
Yep,
I gotta get that.
Absolutely. Apparently here I didn't even notice it says we'll also be providing details on the Crimson Days update going live on the 13th. So apparently Crimson Days is going before that patch. So
wow,
I had glanced over just because I hadn't gone past the videos of the week. So apparently Crimson Days is going to come without the Nightfall scoring, kind of different as they timed. So
yeah,
I guess we'll get more details on that one probably next week would be a guess.
Yeah. Yep.
But no, I'm with you. It's like all of these things seem to be good. The transparency is amazing. The discussions are good. Like, I love seeing their thought process. And as I said, I love to be a fly on a wall in the whole development process for anything. Just for the sniper bug, it's like, okay, it goes to this guy. He's talking about this one. Okay, this seems really weird and broken right now. Can you check this? It's like just the whole process of passing that bug around all the room and systems. Like, that'd be an awesome thing to see for a breakdown. And not a lot of people would care about that, but me being stupid and nerdy, of course I would. So
no doubt.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's like, hopefully you guys enjoyed the week's discussion. A lot planned. Hopefully they can hit most of those marks, especially those asterisks. Those are big ones if they get pushed a little bit, but they're close. Maybe those are like a hot fix later on, but they're close. So if they get an idea, then we'll see. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. So we are in February already, which is kind of crazy. But
yeah, man. Absolutely, man. We're in February and the ball is rolling. And they like I said, I named this episode "The New Hope."
Yeah.
They try to give us some hope, man. That's all you can hope for. But we're gonna keep deep diving and doing this thing, man, and hoping it gets back to that game that we love and we still love so much.
Yeah. So hopefully at one of these weeks it won't be getting longer. It will get shorter at a point when there's
yeah. Flashpoint has to get smaller.
It's got to get shorter because, I mean, well, first we had a huge update to go over, and then we have a map that's like months long. So after those two big things drop, this will likely get a little shorter, a little easier to digest. But yeah, I probably might put this in the beginning of mine. This is more like a talking head. You can minimize the window, just listen to this video and kind of go down. Whatever's going to be on screen is nothing important. It wasn't in mine, so.
No doubt.
All right. Well, let them know where you're at, and we'll kind of wrap this thing up.
Yeah, man. Lord Cognito here on Twitter. So at Lord Cognito on Twitter. Also on Facebook. We have a Facebook group, the Destiny Tower. Please join. We're a thriving Destiny community there. And of course, Iron Lords podcast. Every Sunday is the Lord's Day, 1 p.m. Eastern on the Inner Circle Network. Come check us out. We try to sneak in some Destiny there, but we also talk all in multi-platform gaming, the latest news, and all that good stuff. So come check us out. And Ebontis is a regular at the round table.
been on enough that you guys definitely keep me around. So you talk about Monster Hunter, believe me, I'll be down for that one at some point. I love that.
No doubt.
As for me, I'm Ebontis everywhere: Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You guys know where to find me. I have been playing more Monster Hunter, so I'll be putting out guides and things like that. It honestly seems like something that kind of fits in my wheelhouse of, hey, here's a guide, and especially for those solo players just like I am, for guides for monsters and so many weapon types. It's a ton of fun. So I'm going to be having some fun with that, as well as my standard Destiny stuff. So more to cover, and just kind of nice to have a little variety for a change as we wait for these things to come into play and get closer and closer to the game that we want. So
absolutely.
That's about it, guys. But if you want to do your sign off, and then I've always got mine as well. So.
All right, man. We'll get this thing out of here, man. Everyone enjoy your day. Have a good one. And the next Flashpoint will be coming up. Catch you later.
All right, guys. And everybody out there, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you guys are at around the world. We'll see you soon.
Peace.